Greetings, gamers. Today we're going to rock out with Thrash'N Roll. Let's check it out! Just to let you know, this is the first board game I've ever had that comes with its own musical CD. It's full of heavy metal songs, and I heavily suggest you try this out. I'm not much into heavy metal, but it goes well when playing this game. Alright, so you are a heavy metal band, and you will choose from one of your character sheets here, and there's several, and they're totally reversible. They're just different pictures. They're all the same stats and whatnot. So you're going to pick which character you want to be. Like I picked this band, Rusted Brain, yeah. And so this is who I'm going to be. Of course, on the other side is whoever that name is or that sign is there. So lots of cool stuff here, but that's who I'm going to be. Now you're going to start off with colored die of your color and some cubes. You're going to put the cubes here on your equipment and your talent. Both of those will be rising through the game, and this is a good way to count what your equipment and how good your talent is. Of course, as you see the board, this is where we'll be visiting everything. We have the round marker. For a short game, go there. For a great game, go there. And then, of course, you got your counter token, which is going to count up all the fame you're going to get while you're playing these rounds. They also have a first player card, which we usually never play with, but in this game you probably want to do it because the rounds are so much fun and a little bit long and you forget who went first last time. So definitely play with the first player card. Now before you do anything, you're going to assign some talent markers, and these are the talent markers here, to your band members, either lead singers, guitars, backup guitar or bass, or drummer, whoever. So what you're going to do, if you look here at your character sheet, each one of these characters have a die that is allocated to them. Now you notice the number 6 is not on here because if I rolled a 6, it's a wild card and I get to pick who I want to give talent to. So I'd roll the first 3 here, and I got a 1, 3, and 3, which means 1, that's this guitarist here, and 2 3s on the lead guitar guy there. So that's how you'll start off. Now the reason why these tokens are very important, at the end of the game, whoever has the most popular of each individual member of the band will earn an additional 10 victory points at the end of the game. Now how the game starts is you're going to set up, everyone's going to get 3 support cards from the support deck. I'll talk more about these in a minute. And then you're going to lay 3 out like this for later on in the game. Everyone's going to roll all their dice, and what they're trying to get is matches or runs. So what I have is I have 2 1s, 2 3s, and a 6. So I could do a 1, 2, and 3, and that would be a run, a triple. I accidentally turned this one to a 4, but I could do 2, 3, and 4, and that would be a run. There's singles, you can do doubles, runs of triples, quadruples, however many you need, and you'll be placing them around the board. And as you see on this game board, it'll tell you it's color-coded. For 2 players, you're only going to use the green spaces. For 3 players, you'll use the yellow spaces. And for 4 players, you're going to use that 4th red space. You cannot put any more die on there than are allowed. Now speaking about the support cards, how are these going to help you? Well, these support cards are going to help you in different ways. As you see, they have different things you can do and different abilities if you use them at different places. So for instance, the first thing you need to look at is the die allocation. This one's a 5, this one's a 6, that one's a 4. That means, let's say this was my die roll here, and I wanted to make a run of 4. So I have a 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I wish I had a 5, and then I can make a 6. Well, I can discard this one in my hand to have it count as a 5 and then play this one as a 6. And now I have 5. Oh my goodness, what could I do with 5? I could almost go to Turbo on Tour with that. But anyway, that's one way you could use them. One of the great ways to use them is each of them have these symbols, and they correspond with one of the different places on the board that you can visit. And if you actually play this card while going to, as you see these 2 are at the Broken Bone, then they will give you special abilities. This one increases the popularity of your singer and gives you 3 stars. This one can actually move your single up. This one increases the popularity of your drummer. But they have to be the top icon there to be able to use both, skull and skull. If you do not, if you use it for the other 2, you'll just get the one on the right. So those are how you can use support cards. On your character sheet, it shows you that you can only use 2 per round. And what you'll do, they have extra cubes in the game. You'll just put a cube on there to show that you have used one and you cannot use another one. These are scandal cards. You can use 2 per round as well. What are scandal cards? Well, scandal cards are actually bad but can help you out in the game. And there's several different pictures here, just hilarious moments that they got caught and busted, you know, doing something embarrassing. Anyway, so you pick up these scandal cards. You can pick up 2 per round. A round begins and ends once you've allocated all your dice on the board. And what they do is they kind of help you cheat the game. So for instance, let's say I had 2 3s on the board and man, I really need an extra 3. Well, I could take a scandal card from the deck and say, okay, I have a ghost die of another 3, so that's 3 3s. And because I cheated, I have to take a scandal. Other ways to take a scandal, if your album or single is tied on the record track with someone else's, usually what you would have is a roll-off. Each person would roll 1 of these dice each, and the person who has the highest roll would win the singles or album war if they're tied on the charts. Now, if you don't want to go into that, the challenger can go ahead and pick a scandal card and automatically win the challenge without even rolling. So there are ways in the game where you'll be using some of these scandal cards. You don't want them at the end because for every scandal card you have in your hand, you're going to take away some popularity from whoever that icon is down there. And you're also going to have to roll the die and take that many fame points away from your total score, depending on how many scandals you have. Now, there are ways to get rid of scandals in the game, and I'll show you that in a minute. The last type of card are fan cards, and these are just fans. They love you, they worship you, they adore you, they want to help you out, and they will with several ways. First off, you see the little icons here? If you get 3 of the same icon, you can actually increase the popularity of one of your band members, that particular band member, which here would be the lead guitarist. Other things that you can use fan cards for, and what they're used a lot in the game, is to re-roll a die. So for instance, let's say this is all my rolls here, and I wanted to re-roll this 6. I would discard one of my fan cards and get to re-roll the die. There it is. Now it's a 4. Hey, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so that's kind of how the base mechanics work with the cards. Let's talk about what each one of the fields on the board allow you to do. Now, it depends on how many dice you're going to put on the board. So I'm going to do you an example. So let's start with the Metalhead Club. If I was to put 1 die there, what I would get is I could draw the top card from the support deck. That's nice. But if I put 2 die on there, then what I'm going to do is I get to draw the top card from the support deck, or I get to take one of them that are already out. Now, there may be some good stuff here that I may want. Like, for instance, hey, I'm about to record an album. I may need this guy, and it's better than grabbing a guy at random, so I'll pick him instead. Now, whenever you pick someone and put it in your hand, you're going to replenish that one with the next top card from the deck. So that's how that's going to go. Now, in addition to taking a support card, I can also discard a scandal card from my hand if I have one. Now, you cannot discard any scandal cards that you got on that same round. So if I had gotten a scandal card earlier that round, I couldn't discard it until the next round. But if I had 2 die there, I could also discard a scandal. Now, if I had 3 die there, I had my choice of picking either 2 support cards from the top deck here randomly, or 2 here out on the board. All right, so let's look at the Rock Academy, which is the next one here. If I put 1 die there, then what I'm going to get is I get to add a fan to my hand. Yeah! And you can have as many fans as you have popularity. So as you see, those little green numbers were 3. As my talent gets better, I'll be able to hold more and more fans into my hand, from 3 up to 7. So it does limit your fan cards. So I would get a fan card if I put 1 there. Something else, if I put 2 there, I would raise my skill level by 1, which is nice. It would be right here. It'd move up a little bit there. Now, if I put 3 die up here, then it would raise my skill level by 2, even better. But you need to watch out, because if your skill level is higher than your equipment grade, then your band's going to throw a hissy fit, and you're automatically going to receive a scandal for that. And if you'll notice at the end, your talent will way outrank your band equipment. So as your band gets better and better, they're going to become divas, which is another thing I really like about the game. Now moving over to the broken bone, if I place one die there, my band would receive fame points equal to its talent plus its equipment. So for instance, let's say I had one talent and one equipment, that would give me 2 points. I would go up in fame, 1, 2. However, if I put 2 on here, it would be my talent plus my hardware times 2. So 1 plus 1 plus another 1 would be 3, and I would have gone up 3 spaces instead of just 2. Now if I put 3 die on the broken bone, I will get fame points of that equal to my band's experience and their equipment level, and twice their equipment level like before. And I would also get to draw the top card from the support deck here, and also raise my experience by 1. So I would really be rocking if I do a good show at the broken bone with 3 die there. So the next one is Thrash 'Em All. Now at Thrash 'Em All, if I put 2 dice there, I can move my counter up on the hardware track by 1. So I can increase my hardware or equipment here. If I placed 3 up here, I could increase my equipment by 2. And if I put 4 in a row there at Thrash 'Em All, I get to move my equipment up 3 spots on the track. So this is really where you improve on your equipment, is Thrash 'Em All. Next up is Metal Mind. This is where I can record an album or a single. If I put 2 die on there, I'm recording a single. And this is the singles track here, and this is my little singles marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the chart that's equivalent to my band's experience. So let's say my band was a 2. Well, if you see here, there's the number 2 under 9. So I just placed it number 9 on the top 10 chart. Yay! Now if I had put 3 die there, that means I am making an album, and this is the track for the album. And the track for the album is a little bit more different. What you're going to do is add up your experience and your equipment plus the value of your single. So in this case, like I said, let's say I had the 2 experience, and let's say I had 2 hardware, so that's a 4. And my track was right here at number 9, so that's 6. And I need to at least make a 10 to crack that top 20. So the nice thing you have to do is you have to roll this die, and hopefully for me, I get a 4 higher. Ooh, 4, just barely. Now, what happened if I had gotten a 3? Well, then I failed at recording an album. Now, I did do it right, so it popped right here on the 10 spot. If that had been a 5, I'd have popped up right here at number 19 on the track. So that's kind of how it goes. You want to move your album all the way up to number 1. Now these markers here, these come into scoring at the end game. How high your single is, how high your album is, can also push you up the fame track at the very end of the game. Next up is the Venom's Nest. Play at the Venom's Nest, you put 3 die there. What you're going to get is you're going to get fame points equal to the sum of your band's experience and their equipment times 2. So if I was 2 plus 2, that's 4 times 2 is 8. I would move up 8 on the fame track. Now in addition, I can also move either my single or my album up on the charts 2 spaces. So I just move my single up a little bit there. Now what if I had put 4 die on the Venom's Nest? Well, for 4 die, I get fame points equal to twice the sum of my band's experience and their equipment, and my album can move up 3 spaces, and my single 1 space. So 1, 2, 3, and 1. Really awesome if you're playing 4 dice at the Venom's Nest. Next up is anti-radio, and as you see, this one runs a little different. There aren't really any dice allocations here. It just shows how many times it can be used. Now, you're going to take these little tokens here, and you're going to place them on the board, 1 less than what there are players in the game. So for instance, if there's, 2 players in the game, you put 1. If there's 3 players, you put 2. 4 players, you put 3 tokens there for anti-radio. And it just shows when someone places their dice there, no one else in a 2-player game, only 1 person can access that per round. So what would happen if I put 2 dice on anti-radio? Well, that player would gain points equal to the number of fans they have in their hand. So if I had 3 fans in my hand at the time on anti-radio, I would move up 3 spaces in the fame chart. I could also move my album or my single up 2 spaces. I can also, with 2 die, discard a scandal card as well. Now, if I've had to put 3 die on anti-radio, I'm going to get fame points equal to whatever my single is at. So right now, my single's looking pretty good at 7. I'm going to get 7 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, I'm really stacking it up there. So you would get points, fame points, equal to that of your single. You can also discard a scandal card and move your album up 3 spaces up the charts. As you see, anti-radio, really powerful. But what if I put a 4th die on there, and that was my turn, just putting 4 dies on there? Well, what I would get is fame points equal to twice the number of fans I have in my hand. So again, let's say I had 3 fans in my hand, I would move up 6 points on the board there. I would also get to draw the first top card from the support deck, and if I had a scandal, I could discard it, or here's the really cool thing, I could give it to another player, like pass this scandal off to another player if I wanted. So that's anti-radio. Now the last one they have is turbo on tour. And as you see, I had to put 5 die there because you need a run of 5 or matching 5 to go on tour with Turbo, the biggest rock star band around. And when you're on band with Turbo, life does not get any better. First off, you're going to get fame points equal to twice the experience and equipment level and a neutral die roll. So for instance, let's say a 5 in equipment and a 5 in talent. So I'm at a 10 right now. Plus I roll this die, woo, I got a 6. That's 11 points I would move up the tracker. In addition, I can discard up to 5 fan cards and give my band talent points for each card. So for instance, let's say these were the cards in my hand. My guitarist would get 2 more talent mark tokens on them, and my lead guy would get 2. Now the only caveat is you can't discard a card. Like if I had a drummer here but he had nothing on there, if he had no talent on him, I couldn't add talent to him. They already have to have established talent before I can discard any of those fans. After that, I would take additional 2 fan cards in my hand, and then I could discard fan cards and push my track up even more. So let's say I discarded both of those fan cards. I could move my album up 2 more spaces on the board. I would also move my experience up to there as well. So there's a lot that goes on when you're touring with Turbo. But of course, that's probably later on in the game because you need to get up enough talent and equipment and albums and singles to be able to tour with them. That's like almost in-game options there. Now, one other thing, what happens if you want to record another single? My single stopped at number 4. I go to Metal Mind, I want to record another single. Well, I would place that next single up on the board, depending on, you know, what my value is of my equipment and experience. And then this one would go blank. You'd flip it over and it would just go blank. That means it's kind of dead right now. And it doesn't, if it goes into, there's no song war, if you're tied with it, it just automatically moves down. Where usually, if you're going up against the opposition single, you're going to roll off. If anyone goes up against your single, now that you've recorded a new one, it's just steadily going to drop on the track for you. Same thing with an album. If you were to record an album, I think mine was right there, I'd flip that over and then start with my new album, and I could start pushing that, promoting that, and this one would eventually go down as more and more people landed on it or got tied with it. Now there's also a mini expansion here called Stage Heroes, and Stage Heroes, what you're going to take is you're going to take these little tokens here, you're going to turn them face down so they can't see them. Everyone's going to pick one, and all this does is give you special abilities in the game, and the book will tell you according to which token you took what your special ability will be. I haven't played with this one yet, but it's just a little mini expansion to the game called Stage Heroes. Now by the end of the game, what you're going to do, you're going to count any support cards you have left over in your hand as 1 additional fame point. You're also going to see who has the most talented band members and get fame points there. And whoever has the most fame points at the end of the game wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about Thrash'N Roll? The only heavy metal band board game out there on the market. I'm going to be honest, when I first heard about the game, I was intrigued. I looked at it a little bit, read some reviews, said, okay, this may be the game for me. And I found it for a really good deal online. I was thinking, oh, should I get it? I don't know. And as I was haggling over the price, I said, would you let it go for this much? And then immediately when I said that, I was like, I shouldn't have even said that. I don't think I want this game. And then he agreed to the price. I was like, well, now I got to get it because he just agreed to the lower price. And so it came in, and it was sitting on my bookshelf for the longest. I said, oh, please let this game be good. But I didn't know if it was going to be good or not. And there were so many board game nights where this got to the table but didn't get opened up. We'd have like a stack of games. This would be at the bottom, and we just never got around to it. Or my friends wanted to play something else instead of this, or they didn't show up. And so I kept worrying, will I ever play this game? I finally got it on the table. It took a little while. We had to go through the rule book a lot, and that's the one takeaway from this. I forgot to mention that on the board there are little pictures and icons, and you're supposed to be able to get either a fan card, a support card, equipment upgrade, and stuff like that when you go there. Those are what those little symbols to the side are. But I would constantly forget that. There's a lot of rules to the game, so there's a little bit of a learning curve here. Now, once we got used to what places did what and we start understanding that, after a while you'll stop checking the rule book and playing the game and really enjoying it at that point. But it does take a while. Learning the little symbols, because on the board it'll tell you the symbols for all those things I gave you, what would happen if you put 1, 2, 3 dice on there. But the thing is, though, you got to basically memorize that after a while. Now, some of the places we kind of got the signals, the little symbols on there right, and we knew what it was without checking the book. And then every once in a while we'd be like, what does that mean again? Let's read it. So there's going to be a lot of rule checking and looking back over the book, and your first game may not be your best, but the more you play it, I promise you, the more you'll love it. My gaming group is already intrigued by this game, and I am so happy because it actually ended up being a great game. We have not played with the little mini expansion Stage Heroes yet. I think it would add some interesting ideas, like little cheats to it. I'm wondering if some of those, because some of them seem a little more unfair than others, but I don't know because I have not tried to play the game yet. I would definitely play it with Stage Heroes, but without it first, just to get the hang of all the places and what happens when you deliver what dice. Once you get that down pat, this game is going to be good. I haven't even run down my top games for the year, but this is a strong contender right now to be shooting up out of all the new games I've gotten. This is probably the one I've enjoyed the most right now so far. So should you get it? Well, it's kind of hard to get. You can get it on eBay and maybe on Board Game Geek, and you can get it for a decent price. If your board game group loves rock music, maybe if they're in a band. I have a few people who are in a band, so this is right up their alley. But even if they're not, people who don't like heavy metal or slash music or whatnot, you would like this game. It is really fun. It is super fun, surprisingly fun. You'll get into the theme whether or not you like heavy metal music. You will definitely get into this theme. All right, folks, that is all the time I have for now. Until next time, gamers, you know what to do. Rock on!